Growing up with entrepreneur parents, I was taught to really appreciate small business. And that's something that has really motivated me throughout my life. Being now a small business owner myself, an author, an artist, someone who works for themselves, creating something and giving it to the world. It's driven my passion for making sure I'm supporting small businesses that run their companies, that run their businesses in ethical, sustainable ways. Today, I wanted to share with you guys a few of the things that I do, very simple things, to ensure that I am supporting ethical, sustainable businesses and shopping as small as I possibly can. I do about probably 80 to 85% of my grocery shopping at my local co-op and farmers markets. Being able to shop local and small is a beautiful thing. But not all of us can do that. Sometimes it's just too difficult, or perhaps you live in an urban environment where all the stores around you are just like more chain stores, and that's just the way it is. That's totally fine. We can still shop small by shopping online, but it can also become confusing because so many of the companies that we buy from, it's ambiguous as to where their products are being made. When we buy clothes, half the time we don't really know where they come from. And a few years back, I started to get really bothered with myself about the fact that I feel like I'm buying things without even knowing where it comes from. And for me, that was unacceptable. I wanted to learn more. I started learning a lot about clothes that are made in places that have a lot of forced labor issues or indentured workers or child labor. So many of these atrocities that are taking place are fueled by these massive markets that are distributing clothing and goods that we're buying out of ignorance. We just don't know where they come from. So my advice today is simple, and this is what I've really started to implement in my life over the past year, is ask questions before you buy. Ask where it comes from. Every time I buy a piece of clothing, which isn't very often anymore, but when I do decide, hey, I need a couple new shirts or something, let's say, I will be quite rigorous in my research of okay, what are my options here? There are a few directories that I use online to search and figure out if a store or business is ethical and sustainably sourced throughout their supply chain. I will link those down below. One right off the top of my head I can think of is the Good On You directory. You can search pretty much any business and find out do they audit their supply chains? Do they source sustainably? Where are they sourcing from? Do they even release that information? And they will rate companies based on how much information they're releasing and how good they are about maintaining ethical practices throughout their supply chain. What this does is it educates you before you buy. I often think about this analogy. You wouldn't go to a restaurant to get food from them if you knew that their kitchen was filthy and they didn't wash their hands before they prepared your food. You would want to know that their kitchen had been inspected by the health department and that everything was clean. But yet we buy so many other products without knowing these things, without companies that are not having anything inspected, who are not auditing their supply chains, who are not even releasing that information to you so you can know before you buy. So if there was nothing wrong, they wouldn't have anything to hide, is what I always say. So I try to do my research first by looking on these directories. If I can't find them on the directory, I then send them a quick email. And all the email has to say is, hey, I'm interested in buying your product, and I would like to know, do you source sustainably? And how do you guys check up on your supply chain? Where are your goods made and who makes them? Very simple questions, and just a quick email that takes 2 minutes. And I have gotten into the habit of doing this before I buy anything. And it really cuts back on regretting making a purchase because I didn't know where something came from. There are so many companies that are making strides in making sure that their supply chain is completely ethical, and I applaud those companies. And what I want to do is I want to know about those companies so that I can buy from them, so that I can support sustainable practices rather than buying from companies that are high waste or supporting unethical practices. So directories like Good On You are perfect for that because they rank companies according to how environmentally friendly they are, as well as how ethical they are. I also have used this same exact practice for potential sponsors that have contacted me and asked to sponsor my channel. And as you guys have probably noticed, I have not had anyone sponsor me yet because the questions I ask are the ones I just listed, like, okay, I need to know about the supply chain. I need to know about whether or not you guys are sustainably sourcing your products, whether or not you understand your supply chain, whether or not you audit your supply chain. And I've had certain companies, and I won't name names here, but they've gotten back to me with information that's just very loose and doesn't really make sense, and will say, we have great policies on this, and yet when I ask them to send me a copy of the policy to read, it won't exist. So it's so important to ask these questions, and we can end so much suffering by simply withdrawing support from companies that are supporting unethical practices and supporting great companies that are doing an excellent job of it. To me, this is a fantastic way to support the amazing efforts of so many to end things like slave labor, human trafficking, and environmental pollution that comes with massive factories just pumping out goods that are not sustainably or ethically made. It also helps us find those companies that are just doing a great job, working hard, paying their workers a living wage, auditing their supply chains, and doing their best to make sure everything is ethically sourced. So I hope that this is just my personal practice. This is something that has helped me to navigate being a mindful consumer in a really enlightened way. It was something that enriched my life and something that continues to inspire me going forward. So I wanted to share it with you guys. I hope this is something that inspired you and encouraged you. If you already are practicing this, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. What are some of the things that you like to be mindful about when you decide to invite some new items or products into your life? I would love to hear about your own personal journey. If you enjoyed this video, it always means a lot when you like and subscribe. I post videos every week, so make sure you ring the little bell icon so you'll get notified next time I upload a video about mindfulness. Thanks so much for being here, my friend. I wish you joy in your journey. Namaste.